Yesterday we have discussed about for loops, nested for loops, and while loops. So today we'll discuss other concepts. Uh, okay, list comprehension. First of all, list comprehension, tuple comprehension. We'll see that today. So what is comprehension? Uh, Either it be a list or tuple or set, whatever it is. What is a comprehension first of all? So comprehension means instead of writing multiple lines for the for loops, you can do that in a single line. Okay, instead of doing in multiple lines, you can do that in a single line. That's called comprehension. So first of all, let us see list comprehension. Let us say I have a list with some numbers. Okay, I have a list with some numbers. So let us assume that I want to double each number in the list. I want to double each number in the list. So generally, how you do it? For x in a list, print x into 2, x multiplied by 2. Right? This is what we generally do. Or if you want to store it into a list, so double list equal to, you can just append to this list, right? So bb double ls, sorry, dot append of x into 2. That's what you will do. And finally print that list. Okay. So here now it has given the double. For each number it has given the double. So instead of doing this, I want to do everything in a single line. Okay. So every time it is not possible to do everything in a single line, but at least there are some cases where you will be able to achieve a few functionalities within a single line. Okay. So let us see how to write this in a single line. So the input remains the same. Input remains the same. Now double list. Okay, I'll say comprehension. Double list comprehension equal to. So here we have to write x into 2. So and we have to define what this x is. X into 2 for x in ls. What I'm doing the same thing for x in ls. Okay. I'm getting x into 2, x multiplied by 2. I'm adding that to a list. If you see here, I'm adding that to a list. First, you have to write whatever expression you want to derive, that you have to write. And later, you have to write the logic or the loop from where that variable is coming from. Okay, so let us print this. Print db ls comprehension. See here, you have got the same result. Okay, this is with the simple for loop. Let us say I want to write if conditions also. If conditions, I want to find out in a given list what are the even numbers, what are the odd numbers. Okay, I want to find out using list comprehension. So I'll take the same list. Maybe I'll add few more objects to this. Mhm. Okay, I have added few more objects to this list. In this list, I want to find out uh, even numbers and odd numbers. Generally, how do you find it? By using the for loop. If x modulo if x modulo 2 double equal to 0, then it is an even number. Otherwise, it's an odd number, right? So now let us see how we can find it. So for each number, let us say for each number, I want to say whether it is an even or an odd. So for that, result equal to, so whatever expression I want to provide as an output, I should write here. So I want to get it as even if x modulo 2 double equal to 0. Okay, if x modulo double equal to 0, it should be even, else odd, else it should print odd. But what is this x? For x in less. Okay, I should print even if x modulo 2 is equal to 0, or else I have to print odd for each object in this list and print this result. Okay, see here, 2 is even, 3 is odd, 5 is odd, like that it is printing. So let us see if it is possible to append to a list if it is a even or odd. I don't think that is possible. So let's try. Okay. So let us define some empty list, even equal to and odd equal to. So let us write even dot append if x mod even dot append of x if x modulo double equal to 0, else what I should do, odd dot append of x for x in ls. So now let us print everything, rs comma result comma even comma odd. I think it will throw error. Okay, so it's fine. So in this rs is a result set where we are doing the list comprehension. In that we are not storing anything because this is an append operation. It gets added to the new list. Okay, it is getting added over there. But if you see here, we are whenever we are printing even, it is getting printed, and also it is getting even printing the odd numbers. Okay, so this is how simple we can write it using the list comprehension. So let us say we have multiple conditions, if, elif, else. Okay, so what we can do, um, okay, okay, I have some list of numbers. I want to segregate them as either positive, negative, or 0. Okay, let us have some negative numbers as well, minus and 0. Okay, I want to segregate them either they are positive or negative or 0. Okay, so let us see. These are the numbers. So result equal to, so positive. If it is greater than 0, it is positive. Otherwise, it is negative. If it is exactly equal to 0, it should be 0. Okay, negative, negative if x less than 0. So what we know, so else positive, right? Only two conditions. Till now we know only two conditions. Okay, so but how do we write elif here? So first it should be negative if x is less than 0. Else positive when it should be positive if x greater than 0. Okay, else 0, directly 0. If it is either less than 0 or it should be greater than 0. If it is not less than or greater than 0, then it should be definitely 0, right? So that's what we are doing. So here it is like expression condition 1, expression 1, condition 1, expression 2 and condition 2, and finally the expression 3. Okay, so what is this x? We did not define what this x is. For x in ls. So let us print this result. Okay, so here if you want, you can also take that number as well if you want, str of. So I want to convert this number to a string because I want to add this to a some string. Okay, str of x plus, here also str of x plus else str of x plus 0. Okay, let's see what happens now. See here, 2 is positive. So if we want, we can have an hyphen in between to identify. Okay, 2 positive, 3 positive, minus 5 is negative, and so on. So it is giving the result. So like this, you can use the combination of for loop and if conditions inside the list comprehension. So if you keep them in square brackets, it becomes list comprehension. Let us see the type of this. Type of rs comma. I want to print it in a separate line. Separator equal to \n. Okay, this is of type list. So if you do the same thing uh, using tuple, let's see, the input will be the list. Input would be list, but I'll enclose this in open brackets and see what this becomes. See here, generator. It's a generator object. So till now we don't know what a generator is. We will discuss once we discuss the functions. Okay. So generator is like objects are generated at the runtime. In case of list, objects are fixed in the memory, but in case of generators or a tuple, we have discussed the differences between the list and tuple. In case of tuple, the objects are occupy less memory because they are fixed. They don't need any additional memory, right? So they will be generated. Generators are like they will be generated at the runtime. They won't be stored anywhere. Okay. So I'll try it here. Generator object generates objects at the runtime. Okay, for now, remember this. We will discuss in detail in our further sessions about the generators. That's a totally new concept, I'll tell you. So if you do the same thing using these curly brackets, see here how it is giving. It is giving a set. Let us see if we have any repetitions here. Okay, let us have it intentionally, the repetitions. Okay, so this is a set. Set will not allow duplicates, right? Even though we have 0 repeated multiple times, in the output it is given only once, right? So this is called set comprehension. And if we enclose that in this brackets, we call it as a list comprehension. Otherwise, it will give generators. We don't call it a tuple comprehension. It's a generator. So let us write here what this concept is. List comprehension. And this is set comprehension. Okay. So this is all about comprehensions. Maybe in the interviews they'll ask you what is list comprehension and they will ask you with some questions. How do you write this with the list comprehensions? Right. So now we'll move on to other topics. We have discussed while loop, for loop, if conditions, break and continue as well. Let us discuss functions. Slowly we are moving into some advanced concepts. Okay. Till now we have discussed the basics. These are all the basic things to understand uh, Python. I mean, whatever advanced concepts you are going to discuss, all that is based on the basic things. If you know basics, then you will be good to proceed with the advanced concepts. Okay, so now let us discuss functions. Okay, so functions. This is somewhat a bigger topic because there are various types of arguments we pass to this and various ways in which we can use this. Okay, so coming to functions, it is like here, see, we are writing something here. So every time this works for some list, but this list is hard coded. Okay, this list is hard coded, or we are writing some, every time we are writing some functionality. So in order to achieve that functionality, again, you need to write that piece of code again. Some 3 or 4 lines. Again, every time you need to write that whenever you want to achieve that functionality. But what I want is, if you look at some inbuilt functions like the print statement. So for a print statement, see here, whenever I'm hovering on this, there is a function, def of print of values separator and the support right. There was something here. How this is possible, how this print is working, the Python developers, I mean, who are the developers of the Python program, they have built some inbuilt functions. Okay, without we writing the functionality, they will work automatically because these were some of the inbuilt modules. Okay, so inbuilt modules, inbuilt features, that's how it is working. So wherever you want to print or showcase or display some objects, you are writing the print statement. Every time you are not writing this function, whichever is there on the background, every time we are not writing that function, we are simply using that print statement because this is an inbuilt function. So now we have to write user defined functions, user defined customized functions, so that whenever there is such requirement, we can call that function instead of writing the same code again and again. Because in the real times, uh, if we write some functionality, let us say we are trying to extract the data from an API, or you are trying, there is a nested dictionary. Out of that nested dictionary, you are trying to flatten that. Flatten means you are trying to retrieve the key value pairs. So all of these things, we can write function. We can write a function. Function is like one-time code. Okay, we can write code one time, stored with some name, and that name is used wherever you need that. Okay, we'll see all of that. So functions. Let us see. You want to add two numbers. Let us say I have a equal to 10. I'm just starting with the basics again for the functions as well. Okay, b equal to 100. So if I want to add these two numbers, so I have to write print a plus b, or you can store it in a variable s equal to a plus b and print this yes. So you can store it in a variable or directly write a plus b. So this functionality, now I want to add 200 plus 300. Maybe I have to change these numbers again, right? Maybe you can accept the user inputs. Let us say we can accept the user inputs. There also, then every time you have to write this a plus b, right? Every time you have to use this a plus b. Now, next time I want to add c and d. C and d are other variables. I want to add them. Every time, whatever the variables are, you need to keep on writing this. So instead of writing this every time, I'll write a user defined function which accepts parameters and then adds those two numbers. So let us say, sorry, function. Function is defined with a keyword called def, which means define. This is the short form for define. This is the syntax def. The name of the function, we have to provide some name. What is the functionality you are trying to achieve here? I want to add two numbers. So add of, even before adding, let us say, okay, let it be. I want to add two numbers. That two numbers can be anything. Just you should have placeholders here. Just like A and B, here you can have A, B, X, Y, whatever you want, you can have it. Let us say I am keeping X and Y. So what I should do for these X and Y, I'm going to pass some numbers. Okay, I'm going to pass some numbers. Whatever numbers I'm passing to this, I should return the result. I should do X plus Y. Okay, so return in the function, where whenever you are writing some function, the syntax is def, which means define the function name, followed by, these are called maybe arguments or parameters. Anything is fine. See here, it is called parameters or arguments. Anything is fine. So followed by a semicolon. So whatever blocks you are writing, so that should be ended with a semicolon, and whatever code you are intended to execute inside that, you should write at this level of indentation. Okay. So now what I should do? Return. So function output should always be returned with the keyword called return. Return is the keyword used to give the output of the function. Okay, return x plus y. I'm directly returning x plus y. Whatever values I pass to this x and y, I should return that. Okay, now function definition is completed. So this is a very simple function. This definition is completed. Now I want to execute this. So if you execute just these two lines, you don't get anything. Okay, you don't get anything. Okay, done. Because it doesn't know what is x, what is y, and it is not called anywhere. We have just defined some logic. It is like we have prepared the food at our home, but nobody is ready to eat. Okay, if somebody eats, then only the food gets empty, right? So similarly, somebody has to eat that food, then only there is meaning for that, right? So here also, I have cooked the food now, but somebody has to eat it. Somebody has to use that. So only whenever a function is called, then only it executes. Otherwise, it doesn't execute. This is defining the logic. It will understand, I mean, the Python will execute and make sure that there are no syntactical errors, no other errors are detected in this. Okay, logically and syntactically, it is correct. So now we have to call this. We have to use this. So how do you use? Now I have defined a function. So now I'll return s equal to add of. Here I have to pass the numbers, whatever numbers you want. I want to add 15 comma 17. Okay, and print this yes. Okay, 15 plus 17, it is 32. Maybe this is yes. Maybe you want another other numbers to be passed here. So s1 equal to add of. I'll pass some other numbers. Again print this yes one. Now if you have a requirement to add two numbers every time, you no need to write x plus y, a plus b, c plus d, nothing. You just call this function. See here, add function, I'm calling it. You can directly print of add of 15 comma 17. So here I'm storing it in the object references. So in a very beginning session, I have told that Python is a object oriented programming. Oops, you remember? Oops. Python is a object oriented programming, meaning that everything in Python is considered as an object. See here, this add is a function. I have created an object reference for the numbers 15 and 17. Another object reference for the numbers 78 and 65. Okay. So it works only for the numbers, not for not for strings. So let us see. S3 equal to add of a comma b. Okay. Print S3. It is working. See here, because these are of similar data types, that's why it is working. Uh, I think I forgot to tell you during the strings. So let me tell you now. So if we are adding two strings, I mean if the given variables a equal to Python, b equal to SQL. Okay. If I do a plus b, it will do string concatenation. Okay. Python and SQL, these were added side by side. This is called, we are doing addition on the strings, that is called string concatenation. It means addition of strings. So we can do the multiplication as well. You might be wondering how multiplication is possible. Let's say a into 3. So what is a? Python. Python is multiplied by 3. What it does? So Python is printed 3 times. Okay. That string is replicated 3 times. So this is called string replication. Multiplication on strings is called string replication. Multiplication on strings is called string replication. Addition is called concatenation. Subtraction is not possible. No other methods are possible. Only this replication and concatenation are possible, right? So that's the thing. So if you're doing it on the strings, it is doing concatenation. If you're doing on the numbers, it is doing arithmetical operations. Now, if you do that with a string with a number, add of, I'll say Python, and the number is 10. Okay, here we did not, while defining the function, I did not tell the data types of this. It is understanding based on the inputs I'm giving. If I'm giving numerical numbers, it is doing arithmetical operations. If I'm giving uh, strings, it is doing concatenation, right? Now I'm giving a mix of both. What happens? It gives error. See here, can only concatenate string, not integer to string. So the data types can be both can be integer or both can be string, but one string and one integer is not possible. Okay. Addition of string and integer is not possible. Okay. So that's how it works. So anytime, anywhere you want to add two numbers or two data types, sorry, two similar data types, you can go with add function now. Okay. So see here, every time I'm using that, I have declared it once, I have defined this function once, I'm using it multiple times to add different numbers. Okay, instead of writing that x plus y every time, I'm just calling this add function. Just like wherever I want to use print the statements, I'm writing the print statement. Similarly, wherever I want to add, I'm calling this add function. Okay, so that's how it works. Now let us say I want to greet persons. So maybe I want to say good morning to the given name. Okay, good morning or good evening or whatever it is to the given name. So def of greet of name, whoever name it is, I want to greet that person. Okay, so maybe let us say employee name. Okay, you can have this variable as anything. It's just a placeholder. Whenever we are calling that function, it will expect some value for this variable, for that parameter or the argument. So let us say now this time, instead of returning, I'll write print. I'll tell you the difference. Okay, print. I'll write the formatted string. Hello, the name of the person. I'll make it as a placeholder for the name. Hello, name of the person. Good morning. Welcome to the engineering Python training. Let's say this is my statement. So I want to format it with the employee name. Okay, this is called string formatting. Okay, so done. Now I have written used the print statement instead of return. I'll tell you the difference later. So now the function is created. I did not call it. I'm just executing it. Now the function is created. So I have to call this greet of greet of sorry, greet of the name. So let us greet somebody from our team. Okay. Okay. Kodeshwar Rao. Let us say. See here, it is printing. Hello Koteshwara, good morning. Welcome to Python training. Yes. So let us give another name. Greet of. Let us see. Dekshita, let us say. So whatever name you are passing, so it is greeting that person. Maybe you can accept this employee name as an user input. Let's say employee name equal to input of enter user name to greet. I'm asking here who whom do you want to greet? Okay, and then greet of that employee name. So now I'll run it. Sorry, what happened? Okay, it is asking for the name. Let's say I'll pass my name. See here, it is greeting me. Okay, now let us pass somebody else name, Shaker. Okay, so whoever name you want, you can just uh, provide as an input and it will greet that person. Now, if you see here, I'm directly using greet of the employee name, and previously while using the add function, I have used print statements. Now this time without using the print statement, it was printing. How? Let us see. So, and also now I'll try to store it in a variable. This greet function, I'll try to store it in a variable and see the difference. Okay, so let's say greet of, okay, p equal to, and I'll print this p. Let's see what happens. So this first line, it is getting printed because you are calling the function here, greet of Prabha. Okay, we are calling that function here. But while you are trying to print the variable p, it is showing none. Because whenever you are using the print statements, the result will not be stored anywhere. It will just display. It is not possible to store it anywhere and do further operations on top of that. Okay, that's why it is always better to use return statement instead of the print statement. There is no harm in using the print statement, but it will just uh, display the result, but it won't store anything. Even let us say in case of add function also, let me rewrite the add function. Def of add of a comma b, let us say, and print a plus b. Okay, so print a plus b. Good. Now I'll call it add of 8 comma 9. So it is printing. Let's say I want to store it into a variable. Is equal to add of 80 commas 87, let us say, and print this yes. Okay, see here it is not storing anything. Now maybe I want to add to this yes, I want to multiply that with a 10. That is not possible. But let us say here in this case, we have returned using the return statement. We have provided output using the return statement. So whenever you are doing some calculations and printing that, that variable is storing some value 143. So S1, whatever is the result of that add function, I want to multiply with 10, let us say. One second, what? Okay, because why is it not returning here? Because add function is already overwritten. So let us make this add one, add one. Okay, so now execute this add function again. Okay, so now see here, we are able to store the result and we are able to do some more operations on top of this. So that's the flexibility of using the return statement. In the real time, almost all the time, 99% of the cases, we will be using return statements to provide the output of the function. Otherwise, you will not be able to do some operations on top of the output, right? So that's why return statements are important. Let's write here as a markdown. So to provide function output, it is recommended to use return statement instead of print. Okay. So I'll also write the limitation. What happens if we write the print statement? If we use print, then the result wouldn't be stored for any further calculations. Further calculations or operations. So always use return to provide output, function output. Okay, so that's about the usage of return and the print statements. Hope you are able to get it. Okay, now let us deep dive into this a little bit. Okay, so add function. So we are adding, let us say, add three numbers, or I'll say multiply. Multiply of, I will multiply three numbers, A, A and B, we know, A into B. If you also want to have C, you can have it. So, but for the C, I want to have some default value. If there is some value for C, that's fine. Otherwise, I want to have 1 as the default value for C. Okay. So these are also called arguments. A, B, and C. These are arguments and or parameters. Whatever you call it, anything is fine. So this is called a default argument. Default argument. The variable C, this is called default argument because we are providing some default value to the variable C. So let us say I want to return A into B into C. Okay. So this will multiply A and B and C. I'll execute this. Okay. So now let us call this function. Only whenever the function is called, it will get executed. Otherwise, it doesn't execute. It will just remember the logic, what it has to do. It will remember its responsibility, what to do, but only whenever it is called, it will actually execute. So now m equal to multiply of, I'll just pass two numbers, 5 and 6. Okay, and see what happens. Print m. Okay, 5 into 6, it is 30. Yes. And, but it has to multiply C also, right? A into B into C, which means 5 into 6 into 1. 5 into 6 is 30, 30 into 1 is 30. That is what is happened on the background. Okay. So you did not provide any value to the C. By default, it will take 1. If we don't provide value for C, it will consider the default value provided during function declaration. Okay, whatever you have provided here, it will take that. So let us say I will provide 2 here, run this, run it. Now multiply this. Now it has become 30. It is the proof that the default value is taken. Now let's see. I'll provide m1 equal to multiply of 739. Let's say. Now the value of C I have taken as 9. So it takes in the order. The first variable will take the first value, second will take the second, third will take the third value. That's how it works. Now print m1. Okay, let us see. 7 into 3 is 21. 21 into 9 is 189. So this time, as we have provided some value, it has overwritten the default value. So let's write it here. If we provide value to the default argument during function call, during the function call, it will override the default value. Okay, that's what has happened here. Default value is 2, but we have provided 9 here. Now the default value is overwritten. So this is how we will provide the default values. Another thing to note down or to remember, or the important thing, is that we have to always provide default arguments as the last arguments. Otherwise, if you provide a equal to 2, comma b and c, it won't accept, because default arguments always has to follow non-default arguments. Let's write down default arguments has to follow non-default arguments, meaning default arguments should always be at the end. Okay, so let's take another example. Def of this time what I will take. Okay, great. So I want to greet the person and also the course name. Okay, course by default, course is for data engineering. Default is data engineering, and language. Language also, let us say I am taking language as well. So I want to greet. So return in greeting also I'll make a return statement, or let us say greet message equal to, I'll store it into a variable and then print that or return that. Greet message equal to hello, name, hello name, welcome to this language, welcome to Python session. Let us say I'm just assuming Python session for DE training. Okay, so I'll write dot format of name comma, it will take in the same order, language comma course. Okay, name, language and course. So the first bracket will take the first argument, second bracket will take second, and so on. Okay, so right, let us say name equal to some default value I'll provide. Let us say instead of having for the course, or I'll take the course to the beginning. Okay, so let us run this. See here, parameter without a default value follows parameter with a default. So which means that parameter without a default, which means name and language doesn't have default values. So these should be at the first, and the default one should be at the end. Okay, that's the meaning. So now hope you understood. Because otherwise, what happens if you provide default value at the first? While calling the function, maybe you are providing just 2 parameters. It will understand those parameters are for the first 2 arguments, and the last is a non-default one. If you don't provide value to that, how does it understand? But your intention is that you are providing values to the last 2 arguments, but you have defined the default value at the first place. How it has to consider, it would not be clear. That's why it has made a rule, Python has made a rule to always provide default arguments at the end. Okay, let us say you also want to have some default value for language. You can have it Python. Okay, if you want to overwrite, you can overwrite that, no problem at all. So just return this, return greet message. Okay, now execute this. Right. Now we'll see greet of I'll provide my name. Okay, hello Prabha, welcome to Python session for DE training. Okay, right. Now I'll provide two arguments this time. Even though I did not write a print statement, it was able to print even with the return also. Okay, that's possible. It will print. Or even if you want to print it, you can write the print statement. That's absolutely fine. Now, greet of, I'll take some names from here. Okay, let us say Manikanta, greet of Manikanta, and the language name I'll have is SQL. Language is SQL. So let us see. Hello Manikanta, welcome to SQL session for DE training. Yes, good. So it has now overwritten Python with SQL. So again, I'll take, instead of data engineer, now let us say software engineer. Okay, I'll take another person. Okay, Satyadev. Okay, see here. Welcome to, hello Satyadev, welcome to SQL session for software engineer training. Okay, so that's how it works. If you provide some values to the default arguments, they will be overwritten. The default arguments will be overwritten. Otherwise, it will pick the default arguments. And default arguments always has to be at the end. And whatever arguments you are passing during the function call, it has to be in the same order as that of the way you have defined it. Okay, let us say you don't want to go in the same order. I don't want to go in the same order. Let's say first is the language. Language, I'll say SQL or Java language, and then the role, software engineer, and finally the name. Let's assume. So see here what happens. Hello Java, welcome to software engineer session for Prabha training. It's not good, right? So we have to provide here. This is a language. Language equal to Java, and role, what is that? Course equal to software engineer, and name equal to this one. So now let us see. Now it has taken correctly. It is correct, right? So if you want to provide arguments in a different order, just provide it as keys and values. If we want to provide values to the arguments in a different order than what we have defined during function declaration, use argument equal to value. Okay, then it considers in a proper format. This is how it happens. Now let us see few more examples. I mean, star arguments. We have something called star arguments, which means we don't know how many arguments are expected for this function. Okay, unknown number of arguments. So if you feel that these are all very basics, please try to bear with me, because there might be somebody who doesn't know all of this. Somebody doesn't is not from a technical background. So that's why I'm teaching everything from the very basics. Okay. So let's say We don't know the number of arguments required for our function. So let us say I want to multiply or add, but I don't know how many numbers I want to multiply. Okay, let's see. Def of multiply numbers. Def of multiply numbers, but I don't know how many numbers I have to multiply, either 2 or 3 or 4. How many I don't know. Okay, so for that we have to use the argument prefixed with star. Star, it can be A, B, C, X or Y or Z. Okay, so star A. Okay, I'm just returning that. If I'm just written that I don't do anything. Multiplication I'll do it later. First, let us try to understand few basic things here. Okay, return A comma type of A. With the return statements, you will be able to return multiple things also. Just like the print statement here also, you can return multiple values using the comma separator. So execute this, right? And now I will call this function multiply numbers of. I'll pass some 3 numbers here. Okay. What happened? Multiply num. Okay. See here, the value of A is 5, 6, 7, and it is of type tuple. It is tuple. Okay. So whatever numbers you are providing, whatever arguments you are providing to this A, that becomes the tuple. So whenever you are using unknown number of arguments or star arguments, these are called star arguments. Uh, then the data type of the input is tuple. Whatever you provide, either it might be a string or integer or float or list or whatever it is, the default data type would be tuple. Okay, so write down here. So whenever we use star r, the data type of input would be tuple. Considering this data type, you have to write the operations. Okay, now if you write this is a tuple. Okay, A is a tuple. Whatever operations are supported on the tuple, you have to write that. Okay, so now let us say without this star, let's say without this star, I'm returning A comma type of A. So it doesn't accept multiple values now. See here, multiply number takes 1 positional arguments, but 3 were given. So because there is only A, not star. So let's say I'll provide only one here, only one number. Okay, this is of type integer. Okay, this is of type integer. Only if there is only one, that is of type integer. But if we are using star A, it represents tuple. Please remember, this is very important. Okay, now the data type is tuple. Now I want to multiply the numbers. So let's overwrite this. So we have a tuple of numbers. Whatever numbers I have in the tuple, I want to multiply them. Okay, so on the tuple we have to write a for loop. For x in A. So we have to store that result somewhere. Result equal to, initially it would be, let us say 1. Okay, so result equal to result into x. So initially we have 1. So first if we say I'm passing 5, 6 and 7, 1 multiplied by 5, 5 would be stored here. So the next number comes 6. 5 is already there. 5 into 6 it becomes 30. Okay, now 30 will be stored. 30 into 7, 210 something would be given. Okay, so finally return this rs. Now the type is not required. The type is definitely a integer. Okay, so this is my function. So I have initiated a variable with a result equal to 1. So to that result I'm keep on adding. So this also can be written as rs into equal to x. which means the same thing. Rs equal to rs plus 1. We have seen the increment yesterday. So this is like multiplication. To the same number, we want to multiply something, you can write it this way. So whichever is convenient to you, you can follow that method. Okay. I'll name it as multiply numbers. So now let us call it multiply numbers of 5, 6 and 7. See, the result is 210. So maybe I'll pass one more number, 8. Okay, so 1680. Good. So this is about the star arguments, which means the variable number of arguments. You don't know how many parameters are required for your input or for your function. Then you can go with the star args. Okay. So I'll stop it here. We still have other types of arguments. We'll see that. Okay. So first try to understand the basics. Later we'll write some complex programs. I'm stopping it here. Please let me know if you have any doubts, or I'll share the file in the chat window. You can download that.